such a palette I have never seen before in all my life. All the colors run.
So I wanted to ask our panelists if they would begin sort of a conversation, and we want to make this a very welcoming space for you to engage with us. So please allow them to sort of say some of their perspectives, and then as you have questions arise, we'd like to explore integration in our conversation together. So the question I want to put forward to all of you is coming to this PHOOD versus FOOD. You know, what is that all about? Why are we even using this PH? What's that all about? Anne, would you be willing to start us off?
Sure.
Thank you.
You know, my viewpoint on this now is really around kids and food in schools, but I spent my whole life as a chef, and you know, I fed a lot of really rich people, a lot of really fancy food, and that's what we did, and it was all made from scratch, and I had 20 chefs in the kitchen, and we flew it in from everywhere, and did all this very precious stuff, and you know, it was just lovely. And somewhere along the way, when I wrote my second book, Bitter Harvest, I started understanding that food wasn't really food anymore, and that big corporations owned it, and they actually decided through advertising if we were going to eat it, and you know, they marketed it to kids, and then the kids thought that chicken nuggets is a food group and hot Cheetos is breakfast, and we went from food that somebody made us in just 1 or 2 generations. We went from having almost all the food that we ate coming from somebody else's hand, to teaching children that you drive in a car, you stick your hand out the window, someone you've never met, don't know the last time they washed their hands or anything, hands you a bag, you open it up, the thing is still moving, and you're consuming. And for me, I mean, that's part of the difference. I mean, food is something that's grown, that has life, that we are adding to with our life, and we've gone really far from that to this idea that food is something that comes from a scientist's test tube.
As life does, it kind of throws you to the floor sometimes, and that's what happened in our family with the health of a couple of our kids. And on one hand it was food allergies, and on the other it was a blood disease that one of my sons got. And I suddenly looked at this food that I was serving my kids, and I thought, this stuff's fake. It's fake. I'm feeding my kids fake food. And as a mom, you know, sitting in that rocking chair with that baby that night, I mean, it was a pretty awful realization to have. And I had trusted in the system. You know, I figured if it was on the shelves, it was fine. And so to have that moment where you realize that what might have been in the best interest for the food industry might not have been in the best interest for our children was a pretty hard thing to stomach. And so with that, I began, like I do everything, I jumped with both feet in to this life's work of really trying to restore the health of the American children. Because when I learned that moms in other developed countries don't have the same fake food on their grocery store shelves, I figured we're not asking them to reinvent the wheel. They can simply put those same products on our shelves.
I didn't get it. I was like, food, you know, and I thought it was like I thought it was a hip hop thing. Yeah. And you guys were being clever, and I couldn't follow. And then we talked a little bit, and I thought, oh, that's really good, because you know, we shouldn't call it FOOD if it is not FOOD.
Correct.
And thank you.
You're welcome.
I got it. And for me, what it makes me think about is that I'm not a scientist. I haven't done as much research as anybody here. I've read as much as I can, and I rely on some of it. And there's enough evidence for me to say that this PHOOD is something that I'm going to opt out of. So I've opted myself out of PHOOD. I've opted my family out of PHOOD. If enough of us opt out, there'll be no more experiment. And it doesn't take all of us. It probably takes, I think estimates are maybe 20% of us opt out, and the experiment will live. So that's what I'd like to see and work towards.
Thank you. And when he's talking about experiment, he's talking about, you know, GMOs in our food system. He's talking about all of the colorants and pesticides that are producing the foods that we're putting into the products, as well as all of the additives that go into the food itself.
We look at the policies coming out of the USDA, or the inability for the FDA and the USDA to actually have a safe food supply. You know, there's a lot of money on the other side, and that's why this involvement is so important. And right now is reauthorization of the National School Lunch Act. It's probably going to happen in the next 60 days, and you know what? Most of you probably don't even know about it, and that's going to be for 5 years what our kids eat.
I'm a complete optimist, and that's the route I had to go, and so I did. And have assembled an incredible group of medical advisors and a team that really are saying, you know, let's pull out of this experiment. This is our national dinner table. And part of the problem I have is that organic food simply isn't an affordable option to most people, especially in these economic times. And so I put on the finance wonk part of me and dug into that research. And when I learned that as a national family, we're using our national taxpayer dollars to grow all the crops with chemicals. And then at the same time, we don't use our national family's dollars to give to the guys that are growing the crops without the chemicals. On top of that, they then are charged fees to prove that their crops are grown without chemicals. And then on top of that, they're then charged fees to label them. And then on top of that, they don't get the marketing assistance programs and they don't get the insurance programs. And that's why their products are more expensive. And I have a problem with that.
So I want to jump in and say we need to find our kitchens again. You know what? Cooked rice, cooked beans. I mean, there is nothing. I mean, organic rice and organic beans and clean animal protein on the side and a big salad, and maybe it's not all organic, is way cheaper than a big pile of chicken nuggets and tater tots. So it's that the food, not only, most highly processed food per ounce is way more expensive than real food, but it's that we lost our kitchens and we've gone to this thing where everything has to be fast and instant and eaten out of our hands. So, I mean, I think, and I get that there's a big discrepancy in organic, but let's just start with real. You know, I mean, so whole foods, cooked from scratch, and you can eat very reasonably.
My name is Robin O'Brien, and I'm the founder of the Allergy Kids Foundation, which is an organization designed to help protect American children from the chemicals that are now found in our food supply. 1 out of 3 American kids now has autism, allergies, ADHD, or asthma, and because of that, there is so much that we can do to help protect the health of our children. You can find us online at the Allergy Kids Foundation website, which is allergykids.com and allergykidsfoundation.org. We look forward to hearing from you. We invite you to be part of our community, to share your stories, to join the conversation so that we can affect the change that we want to see for the health of our children.
I'm Ann Cooper. I'm the Director of Nutrition Services for Boulder Valley School District, where we're changing all of our food from being highly processed to being healthy, cooked from scratch. We've just gone through our first year. I've almost been in town a year. So we're really starting to see things change. No high fructose corn syrup, no trans fats, a lot of whole grains, a lot of fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, only organic milk, salad bars in every school. So we're starting, and hopefully we'll just continue feeding our kids better food in Boulder Valley.
Such a palette I have never seen before.